Today's episode is brought to you by The Gallery. Based out of New York, The Gallery is a curated collection of photographs from around the world. While we are all unable to travel, this is a great way to bring a piece of the world to you. All prints are made from 100% recycled aluminum, giving your wall the gallery finish. Right now, The Gallery is offering our listeners 15% off their purchase by using the code 15OFF. Go to thegallery.com. That's TheGallery.com, so your wall will never be boring again. Welcome to another episode of the So-Called Oreos podcast, the podcast where we discuss all the awkwardness, hardship, and hilarity that comes along with society labeling you white on the inside and black on the outside, also known as an Oreo. I'm Amari Pollard, here with my co-hosts,
Kia Swinton,
Rachel Fowler,
Janae Price.
Hey guys.
Hey y'all.
Hashtag professional.
Look at us on our seventh take. So how is everyone doing this week? Don't sound.
I'm gonna let you guys go first because I actually have stuff to say. Okay. I'll let you go first.
Kia, you might as well. Like,
it's not fun. It's not fun.
Don't make us wait.
I'm sorry. It's not anything fun. I and this is probably gonna be super depressing, which is not used like good for the person who's the optimistic person on the podcast. But I just feel like the pandemic is like, I don't want to sound insensitive, but I feel like it's really getting to me right now. And I know we've been in it for like 5-6 months, and maybe I was just kind of like delusional about everything. Like I knew it was important. Obviously, I haven't really seen anyone, but now I'm starting to feel like I'm just really scared for like fall and winter in terms of like seasonal depression, especially for people in the Northeast. And then I'm also just scared because the fact that we haven't gotten better is really scaring me. I think like when I look at like the Q2 results and like in career and stuff like that, and I'm really realizing like, oh, it's not getting better. And like each quarter it's going to get worse and worse in terms of like most people's businesses, and like people like Congress hasn't passed anything, with like the CARES Act and stuff like that, and people might get evicted. And I think it's just taken like a toll on me mentally because I'm just like, wow, this is real. And like, I really don't know how I'm going to get through fall and winter. And that like really scares me because it's like almost out of my hands. Like I get it. There's only so much you can do with like hobbies and stuff like that. But then, I've already done this for 5 months. So I just don't know like what more I can do differently in the next like 5 months.
That's real.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
Sorry to bring it down.
I think that's fair. I'm fortunate enough to be able to have my apartment in North Carolina, and originally I was going to end my lease in December when I go back home for Christmas, but I'm keeping it mainly because of seasonal depression, and I want to be somewhere warm. Just because I already struggle with anxiety and depression. And so the idea of being stuck inside in Syracuse, New York for several months, and we know how winter goes there. So I think that's like a real issue and a real fear. And, again, access to, therapy and mental health resources is not cheap or easy. So
real talk for me, that was something that just came up. I was talking to a friend and they were basically like, winter's coming soon. And it hadn't hit me because I've been, enjoying the summer, being back in New York, being able to just, sit on my stoop and see that people are still out and about doing things. But the thought hit me that like, I don't have a job yet. For those of you who don't know, I was laid off because of Sister COVID, wreaking havoc on the world. And the idea of like me not having a job yet, the CARES Act, them not making any decisions on it. And then the idea that like, yay, it's getting cooler out, but at the same time, that means that the sun is going to start setting at like 5 o'clock. And it's getting a little more real. And I think I've been able to kind of push it off with this idea of like, I'm enjoying myself right now. not having a job for the first time in 3 years when I basically rushed into getting a job after graduating from college. But now I'm just kind of like, this might not look cute in a few months. So you're not bringing it down, you're being real.
It's
Yeah, and I don't know, because like I think I said this on the podcast before, like I did lose my job like back in winter of like, what was that, 2018, I don't even know because life sucks, but just the thought, and I always was like, oh, if I can get through this, I can get through anything. And just the thought that like potentially that happening again during a pandemic during winter, it's just like, okay, I've already gone through this. I don't know if I could actually do it again. And it's also like starting me to like rethink, like I'm like questioning, and this might just me being emotional, but I'm kind of questioning like my purpose in terms of career. I guess I've just been really thinking about things and like not in terms of like personal life and career and social life and love life and all this stuff, and just not having control. And I thought I was okay with it, but once like August 1 hit, it really was like, oh, we've been in this for 5 months. The next month is fall. And it just really started like, I don't know. I've been trying to like change the mentality, but I'm like really struggling, to be honest.
Well, I mean, like I feel like also like control is just a concept, because actually in reality none of us have control, but we like to think we do, even though that's not comforting still. But I totally understand where you're coming from. Someone this weekend asked me, we're just like sitting down having like a regular schmegular conversation, and he's like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I'm like, I don't even know where I see myself tomorrow. I can't even think, I'm interning this summer, and today my manager was like, what do you envision for your career, and how can I tell? Like, I'm not going to tell my manager. I like, when I look into the future, I don't really see anything, because I don't know what anything looks like, and it's not. It's really hard to be in a positive mindset when everything around you keeps on telling you the opposite.
Yeah, 100%.
It's that.
I also like feel the same way, because this past couple of weeks, I was just like life was hitting me really hard, and like he said, like, I didn't realize that we've been in this for 5 months until August 1st hit, and I was like, wait, like next month is September. So it's just a lot that's going on, a lot of uncertainty. And my job even was talking about the budget for the next fiscal year. And that includes the employees. And I think when my supervisor said that in like the morning meeting that we had the other day, when she said that I was just like, wow, because I wasn't really thinking about that, because I've been working since March. And everything has been going smoothly, thank God. But for her to say that, and the end of the fiscal year is coming up, we're waiting on a new budget. I think everyone is just going through, their own personal issues on top of COVID. And I think that is just making everyone feel however everyone is feeling. I'm feeling, there are days where I feel like super, super depressed, like really, really down. And I'm allowing myself to go through those feelings. I'm waking up saying, I don't feel good today. I feel really, really low. I'm acknowledging my feelings. And it's also like how I go about my day. Am I going to just sit here and feel depressed, or am I going to get up and do something to make me feel better? And I think throughout this whole pandemic, starting from like April to now, I've had those days a lot. Luckily, I can afford to speak to a mental health counselor, speak to a therapist about what I'm going through. And I do look forward to like my calls with her. She's been really, really helpful. So for like you, Kia, Marge, and everyone that's listening, like hang in there, find something every day to bring you out of that like mental slump that we all are going through.
Amen.
Yeah, that's real. And I also feel like, I think it's also just like a career development thing. Like, I'm very into like working for myself, but then like the paths of getting there, there's just a lot of things where I'm just like, and like you said, Rachel, like our quarter two was down significantly, and I was just like, da 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 da. If they would have laid us off, they would have done it already. And then for them to say it, it's just like, oh wait, oh, I forgot we had to like do quarter and stuff like that. So that's just like, I don't know. I'm trying to think like, Kia, stay positive, and hopefully you're fine. But like, it's wouldn't be human for me not to think about the consequences that are possible. Anyway, on to
Kia with Black
more
history.
positive things. Talking about nostalgia this week, I'm going to Black history, guys. Okay. August 9th, 1963, Whitney Houston was born in Newark, New Jersey, and is cited as the most awarded female artist of all time by Guinness World Records and is one of the best-selling recording artists of all time. So just, talking about nostalgia this episode, I thought that was, music is a big part of that, and that is someone that Black people love. And then the next little fact for you is August 10th, 1981, the Coca-Cola Bottling Company agreed to pump $34 million into Black businesses and Black community, ending a national boycott called by PUSH. PUSH stands for People United to Save Humanity and is a nonprofit founded by Jesse Jackson that raised public awareness to initiate corporate action and government sponsorship. And I just wanted to highlight that because I think a lot of times we forget about how much economic power Black people have, and I really wish we would lean into that. So, we complain about, Kylie Jenner and all these big businesses, but it's like you have the option to not buy from Kylie Jenner. And if we all came together, we actually have a lot of power in this world. So I never heard about this boycott. I thought it was super awesome that this organization did a lot of these economic boycotts, because unfortunately I feel like the only color white people see is green. And I think when you start affecting their money, that is when action unfortunately becomes to be a realization for them.
Good points, Kia. Good points. Okay, so this week on Black Professionals We Love, if you guys peep the title of this episode, we're obviously talking about nostalgia. So I wanted to highlight Keke Palmer. She was one of my idols growing up. And when I first saw her in Aquila and the Bee, I can vividly remember, I think I watched that movie several times in theaters. And I just felt like that was the first time I really saw myself on screen. Here was this little Black girl with glasses, and she had a gap like me, and she was dark skinned like me. So in a weird way, it's been cool to feel like I've grown up alongside her and seen her evolution as a person. I think she's someone who embodies the saying diversify your portfolio, because I don't know what she doesn't do, from her singing career, which started on the Aquila and the Bee soundtrack, which was fire. In her music video and her dancing was she's very skilled, to True Jackson MVP and Scream Queens and her talk show that just got canceled, but she got nominated for a 2020 Daytime Emmy Award. So, I think she is just doing a lot of great things professionally. She's doing a lot of great activism, and I just respect the hell out of her. So I wanted to give Keke Palmer a shout out. And if you're listening, girl, love you.
Yeah, that's great. I love Keke Palmer. It's really sad to hear about her show, because I know some people were saying they thought it was because she went to the Black Lives Matter protest, but I hope that's not the case.
She's addressed it in the media, and she said that it's not she said that she had expected it to get canceled anyways, but I don't know. She could also, I feel like she's a pretty vocal person, so if something had happened, she probably would have said something. I don't know.
Yeah, hopefully that's not the case. It's also weird if she's nominated for an Emmy, why they would can that show.
I know, that's really, really surprising to me. I don't know how award shows work. I really don't. But I imagine that some of it was based off of numbers. So I imagine if you're getting a Daytime Emmy, that means that...
It's the Academy.
So is it all what the Academy votes and not numbers at all?
It's with the Academy. I only know this because I had to do awards for Vice, and it was honestly hell. And it's your votes are like the Academy has to vote for you, and obviously the Academy is mostly white people, so I just never understood how they thought that was fair. But yeah, it's basically old white people have to vote for the show, and whoever gets like the most numbers.
Honestly, people were surprised about her show being canceled, but I was surprised by her show even existing. Like Kiki Palmer, Michael Strahan, and whoever the hell the white lady was. Sorry, it just seemed like a random group trio. So to me, I didn't even realize it was a thing until that black hair segment went viral. So I don't know.
Yeah, I never watched it either, but I think it's just because Michael Strahan and the white lady are on GMA,
yeah, but
right?
like, how did Kiki Palmer get it? Like, how does she get him?
I think they just wanted a blackface, to be honest.
She started on the show because she was covering for the other host, because the other host was on maternity leave.
Okay.
And then they decided, okay, we're going to keep Kiki on because I guess they liked her.
Okay.
And that's how she got on that show.
Okay, but Kiki, she's hosted stuff before. I feel like I used to see her on.
Yeah,
was she on like
she had her
106 Park
own
or
show on
something?
she had her own talk show on BET.
Okay. Yeah. Again, diversify your portfolio. She's doing it all.
Yeah.
But so this week we're talking about nostalgia. I think we were just saying how not all of us, but some of us have gone home during this period of time just to be with family. And, you know, for me, being in my childhood bedroom, I was just curious and would stumble upon different things like Game Boys and old magazines with cover stars from shows that I used to be obsessed with. And so I thought, you know, it's a pandemic. Shit is just depressing. Let's talk about something that makes us happy. And I know a lot of people like shit from like the I can't even talk. I'm saying the 20s, the early 2000s and 1990s like makes us really happy. So
what do they call the early 2000s? Is that like the OOs?
I feel like it's the early 2000s.
No, but like when you see it abbreviated and it's like a 0 and a 0 apostrophe S.
Yeah, 00.
Is it the OOs? Like, what do you call that though?
The double O's? I don't know.
Never
Let us know, guys.
Like you see it in print, like you see it in copy on websites. The double O's. How do I pronounce that?
I think you see it, but people just know to say the 2000s. Yeah, early 2000s.
Yeah.
And now that we said the early 2000s so many times, I can't get my head. I keep on thinking of like the VH1 like roundups of music videos and like top 100 songs. Did you guys ever used to watch those?
I used to watch like I love the 80s.
Yes.
I love the 90s. I love
like
the
the
70s.
one-hit wonders.
Yeah.
Okay,
I used to watch those.
I tell you, nostalgia.
I used to watch 106. I feel like I vividly remember like 106 in Park being a huge part of like summer. Like me and my sister would be like, what's going to be number one? Because we were out of school and just like always looking at like, what would be the number one now? And like that was actually, and then also when Disney Channel used to do the short like music videos, which is how I saw the Jonas Brothers. I was like, oh my God, I'm obsessed.
I remember the night that the year 3000 came out was the same night that Degrassi aired the episode where JT got stabbed.
Yo, when JT got stabbed.
I cried so hard. So I remember running from the family room up to the guest room to go watch the premiere and just like crying as I'm watching the Jonas Brothers music video, thinking about JT. But that shit was fire. Like,
I feel like I'm the only person that didn't get into watching the Degrassi.
You've never watched
the Degrassi? I didn't get into watching the Degrassi.
No, the Degrassi was not my show.
What? So wait, so when Drake came on the scene, was that the first time you saw Drake?
Yes.
Yeah, for me.
What? Yo, I
didn't watch Degrassi till like the last season. And you know what's funny? My parents, someone made a joke about Drake being in a wheelchair or something.
Wheelchair Jimmy.
And my parents my parents were like, why do they keep saying that? And I was like, oh, it's from Degrassi. That's how Drake started. Like, they didn't know.
When I tell you, Degrassi was educational.
It was.
I only knew about school shootings because Degrassi, when Drake got shot.
It's a Canadian, right?
Yeah. We've got to ask our listeners which was worse, Drake being shot or JT being stabbed. And this depends on what kind of generation you watch Degrassi with, because they were both in the same generation, but JT getting stabbed was at the end of that generation, and Drake / Jimmy getting shot was at the beginning of that generation. So it depends on what you are.
I'm just going to say, I think JT was a little bit sadder, mainly because he died. At least Jimmy got a second chance. 2, right. Liberty was pregnant.
Oh, I forgot Liberty was pregnant. And also,
Liberty was pregnant.
Drake was not very likable in Degrassi until after he got shot.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like a jock. He was a basketball player. Everyone was like, Jimmy. He was like the cool guy. And then he got shot.
But I think it's also hard to, because in the way in which, either way, the black boy getting shot or stabbed is equally bad. But I thought it was interesting because you see JT get stabbed from the front. So you see JT's like life leave his eyes. With Drake, he gets shot from the back, which is also still bad because the guy's running away and he's not where he's like, oh.
Yeah. It's that was some good acting. That was some good acting.
I'm about to go. After this call, I'm about to go watch some Degrassi.
I know, right? Seriously.
Okay.
You know what? I might watch the Degrassi as well. I might after this call.
Rachel, you sound like the old auntie.
I sound like the old lady. I just didn't get into that show. I don't know why.
There's time.
It's okay. I really didn't either until like my white friends made me watch like the last season. Then I got hooked and then it went off and I was like, okay.
I still, as an adult, will go back and like watch it, just binge watch the season. Because like sometimes it'll pop up on Netflix or it'll be on demand. And it's like a guilty pleasure. Last time I watched it, they were really incorporating like different gender identities and different sexualities in it, which was kind of cool to watch. So it's like, okay, the kids. But yeah, it's a fun show.
Yes. Speaking of great shows on Netflix, Janae can talk about this more too, because like Netflix just made a whole bunch of announcements of great older shows coming on. So can you talk to us about that?
Yeah. So they announced hold on, y'all, looking at my notes. They included Sister, Moesha, Girlfriends to their show roster. And that was through Strong Black Lead, which is basically Netflix initiative to hire more people of color and to put, well, not more people of color, Black people, to hire more Black people, to basically just diversify their brand. So I thought that was really, really cool. And I feel like there were talks of rebooting some of these shows and then COVID happened and those talks stopped. So I like that Netflix is putting these shows on their platform. My only issue is that I think all of these shows will be off of Netflix in like October-ish. So that's a little annoying to me.
What?
Yeah, that's what I saw.
Short. Why would they only keep it
exactly?
For that short
that's what I saw on one of the websites I was reading this on, which I'm like, I'm not sure how accurate that is, but that's what the website said. So I really hope that they can do better and keep this on for longer. And they're not just like, we just want to appease the girls for now. Because Sister,
like Negro content for 3 months.
Exactly. And Sister, Moesha, Girlfriends, those are all such pivotal shows for like most young Black women. I recently started watching Moesha and it's been interesting. Hey. It's been interesting though. With a lot of
I've heard some rumblings about issues like on Twitter. People were talking about like, damn, I forgot about the episode where Mo kind of almost outed someone about being gay.
Ooh,
there was a lot of fat shaming. So it's
there
I
was
always feel
so much fat shaming.
It's always hard, I think, in general, watching shows that you loved as a kid and realizing things that you didn't pick up on back then and looking back on it and you're like, oh, this is...
So the last episode I just watched, Moesha was reunited with this white boy that she used to be in like summer camp with, right? Her dad put her in summer camp with people, very, very diverse people, basically, so she can be more comfortable around all different walks of life. Her and this white boy meet. They decide to go on a date. Her dad is just like, you sure you want to do that? You can't date a white boy. Like, that's not going to go well. And you are expecting in this episode for, everything to go well and the dad to be completely contradictory. Instead, the dad was right and every force was just against Moesha and this white guy dating. And then at the end of the episode, they just decide not to be together. And it was just...
What were the forces?
Okay.
Sorry. Like, can you give examples? Because I haven't seen
So they first went to a bar of the white boys' choosing. It was like a pool hall or whatever. They were discriminated.
Are they teenagers?
Yeah, they're teenagers, but it's Moesha. They were discriminated against at the pool hall because, like, the woman who was serving them food gave them cold and nasty food, gave them the wrong order, and they tried to speak up about it, and the woman was basically like, this is all you get. Then they went to Moesha's side of town to go to, what is it called? Like the Den or the Pit, which is like the pop-in club that Moesha and
all the black shows have that.
Yeah, all the black shows have that. So Moesha and her guy go there, and one of Moesha's like classmates basically tries to start a fight with the white guy and is just basically like, why are you here with her? Da, 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 da. And it was just like little stuff like that. It was just a whole bunch of other people's reactions. And then at the end of the night, the white boy's basically like, well, this was interesting. I like you. I'll see you around, I guess. And Moesha was kind of like, does that mean that we're saying goodbye? And he's like, and she's just kind of like, and then they say goodbye to each other.
Wait, so what?
Oh,
yeah, and she was really upset about it afterwards. She went home and, her father asked her like, Pumpkin, how was your day? And she's like, the world sucks. And like went and cried.
Newsflash, it still sucks.
Yeah.
I feel like that situation is very realistic though.
It's
very realistic. I feel like the only unrealistic bit is I question if they would have kept on seeing each other longer.
It's kind of sad that that's like the story.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, yes, all this hate from other people, but then it's just to be like, okay, whatever. But I mean, that's real though. Some people do feel like they can't handle it. And I was actually listening to this podcast where they brought in a black man who had dated white girls, and I guess his first girlfriend was white in college, and the white girl like wouldn't talk to him like over break when she was with her family, and she wouldn't bring him to like the formals, and she wouldn't do anything. Like they would just sit inside, have this like relationship, but outside, like, kind of in the world, it was just non-existent. And then he was talking about how like she didn't really fight for the relationship. She just kind of let her parents tell her whatever when she went home. And then I think he just felt like so off. And he made a good point. Like, if you're going to be in that type of situation, like each person has to fight for each person. And she kind of just like would like hide him in the back.
That's sad. That's sad.
Amari's face.
I'm sorry.
I know. I was kind of side-eyeing him because I mean, this could be a whole.
This is a whole nother episode. This is a whole nother.
But I feel like we all kind of like know, like,
that's like,
but yeah,
that's messed up. Really, really messed up of her. But at the same time, bro, know your worth. You don't deserve that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, bro, at what point do you got to be like, hey, maybe this like isn't for me?
Like, I'm not trying to be anybody's secret.
On from the white girl. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so we're talking
back to happiness,
right?
Yeah.
But if you're interested, you guys can listen to our interracial dating episode and get a little taste about these conversations we've had before in the past. Maybe it's worth re-upping again.
Shameless plug.
I would love to interview a black man who's dating a white girl. We have to do that.
You can
I mean, I feel like I don't know. I feel like that's a conversation. But I also feel like stat-wise, I just want to say that according to stats, and you guys can Google this, I'm not just saying this just to say it, but black men are twice as likely to date outside their race than black women.
We didn't need a stat to know that.
But some people are like, oh, you guys are biased. It's like, no, that's true.
Yeah. We
It's
all
just a
know
fact.
black men out there that'd be like, no, it just seems that way.
Oh, that's their first.
And it's like, okay.
It's like, no. We're not
What
just
I'm
making
seeing
that up.
walking down the street ain't no goddamn lie. Anyway.
Also, black women are more of the population than black men. So let's
also talk about the stats where black women are the least favored on like every dating app.
This is exactly why.
Also, they're the most educated in the black community.
You know what? This isn't about us. This is about nostalgia.
We just had to drop some facts for y'all.
So what
real quick. Blasians unite. And I say this because black women are the least swiped on apps and Asian men are the least swiped on apps. Let's get it popping, y'all.
Yeah, we did talk about
this. Issa Rae's been talking about this. And she wrote it into the script in Insecure.
Let's get it popping. Anyway, back to nostalgia.
Yes. So what are some other TV shows y'all loved growing up?
Or favorite black characters?
Yes, with any favorite black characters.
Definitely the Proud Family for me. I honestly remember looking at that and be like, wow, I can't believe this like black ass show is on air. And I was like, 13? But because you've never seen anything like that. But I really love that. I just love the Proud Family. I thought it was so funny and like so real. And I feel like other ones are like Everybody Hates Chris, the Bernie Mac Show. I'm trying to keep it to black stuff.
Not all my children.
All of us.
My wife and kids.
My wife and kids. Yeah, also a good one. Yeah, those.
Except when they replaced the dark skinned daughter for the light skinned daughter. They've been doing that in a lot of black shows.
Oh, they
for
do
a long
that a
time.
lot.
The Fresh Prince.
I was going to mention the Fresh Prince because I love the Fresh Prince, but yes, that they did that. They definitely did.
That show never gets old either. It's very rare when I'm like, oh, the show never gets old, but the Fresh Prince I never get tired of. And I'm sorry, people are going to hate me, but I never get tired of Friends either. Sorry.
I've never watched Friends in my life, and I refuse.
Wait,
Rachel, did you say it was one of your favorites?
Living Single.
Oh, Living Single. Yes.
We are living
single in a nice kind of world.
I'm glad I got my girl. Keep your head up. What?
Okay. Anyway.
Yes. I weirdly enough, I was never like a huge French Prince of Bel-Air fan. But I was obsessed with Family Matters. Like that was my show. Steve Urkel and Laura. I was
we know who you mean.
Yeah, and then when he turned to Stefan, I was like, "There's hope for me too."
Stefan was fine.
When he went into that machine and then came
out.
Sorry, I was saying Sister is also another one where I was like, oh, I love
Does
this.
anyone have this weird thing where you watch these shows? Like I know specifically that I watched Sister and Proud Family. Like I know I watched them religiously, but I just can't remember much from them.
Oh, I have a worse memory, so I can't remember anything past 2 years.
For me, it's Sister and Family Matters. Like I used to always watch those shows, but I just can't remember
nothing.
Certain episodes, but I know I watch it like every fucking day.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, from Sister, the episodes I remember the most are when they're singing. Like there's some musical element in it, which is weird. So like when Tamara did the talent show and she's saying, I'm going down, like that will forever be etched in my brain because I would go in the shower and sing that rendition every night after that episode.
That's interesting. I remember the Will Smith episode when the daughter, Ashley, was singing the talent show and she was singing to her parents like she's a grown woman. Oh my God, I'm forgetting the song. Please don't kill me. Okay, I just disregard what I just said, but I remember the sing. I'm forgetting the song. What the hell? I'm so sorry. Disregard me.
So y'all know I'm the anime nerd of the group. I'll wear the hat. In Dragon Ball Z, Piccolo was black. Piccolo was black. He's a green character.
I have to
I
look
made a
him
point
up.
never to watch Dragon Ball Z.
Why?
Why?
I don't know. I just go like to this babysitter's house sometimes after school, and like all the kids are watching Dragon Ball Z, and they were all white, and I just like did not understand it. They're like all.
Wait, I know Piccolo. Was he? What do you mean he's black? He's played by a black person?
I don't know, but he black. Piccolo's black.
Oh, you just made this up.
I didn't make this up. In the black anime
How is he
community,
black?
because he is Kia. It's just his feel, the way he talks, the way he acts, the way he does
We're
things.
scraping the bottom of
He
the
may
barrel
have
right
been
here.
a Namek. He may have been Namekian, but the Namekians were black. Piccolo was black. That's all I'll
What the
say.
fuck is happening?
It's okay.
You know, I would let you.
She said a Namekian.
The Namekians. He's a Namek. He's from planet Namek. The
What is
people who are listening to this and watch Dragon Ball Z will know what I mean. This is not for you three.
I used to watch Dragon Ball Z. But I didn't like. I don't obviously know their name, and like I just looked at the characters because basically, like I had older cousins. I didn't have brothers. I have two older guy cousins, and they would just hand me down like literally everything. So if I wanted a Game Boy or a PlayStation, my parents legit wouldn't buy me any of this. They would just be like, wait until your cousins are done with it. That's literally all I remember. So I remember them giving me Dragon Ball Z, and like I would play 2K Live. So my growing up was very like manly because it was just like all the leftovers from my cousins, and I was just like, we would just be like, okay, we got a new game. So I played a lot of Dragon Ball Z, but I had no idea what it was. I don't even know. It was just
That's the name of it.
even 2K Live. I'm like, I don't know any of these characters. I'm just gonna play because that's all we have. So
What about Yu-Gi-Oh?
I was just about to say
I never watched Yu-Gi-Oh.
I never watched any of these shows, but I knew a lot of people. I wanted to be like with the in crowd, so there was
Avatar.
No, I was gonna say like the cards, like Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Pokemon cards. Never watched any of the shit, but
No, I have
when my
Pokemon
sister was
cards.
done with hers, I just stole them and then I presented them to people like I knew what I needed to do with them.
Like a drug dealer? You like
I had a
hey, I got the
binder
goods?
and I would like open them and I'm like, you guys want to trade? Like, what are you
No,
doing?
that's how it was with Pokemon cards. I had a binder of Pokemon cards too. Like that's what people did. It was real shit. But
I didn't
on
know
the
what any of them
animated nostalgia track, Avatar: Last Airbender is now on Netflix and everyone's been watching it. It's my shit. Has been my shit for years.
That was actually my
It's
shit.
such a good show, and it's
I'm gonna rewatch.
It's more than like the first season is that's a child show, but after that, it's like just such a good show. I'm going to get a tattoo, Last Airbender themed. I think I'm a waterbender.
Is this a joke? Are you serious?
No, you're an earthbender.
No, I'm a
Is this
waterbender.
confirmed?
I mean, if it's related to your signs,
I'm
you are
not
an
relating it
earthbender.
to my signs. I'm relating it to my feeling and my heart. I'm a waterbender.
I always thought like the earthbender was so cool, and I was like, I would
Really?
want to be an earthbender. Technically, I'm fire. Yeah, I was like, earth. It's so cool. You can move the earth, and I was like, water. That's stupid. And air. I was like, that's dumb. But the earth, I was like, yeah. In the fire, they were just like badass. I was like, yeah, they can blow up stuff.
If we're not gonna do our astrological signs, like take the astrological signs out of it completely. Kia, you're a firebender. Rachel,
I'm a fire sign.
yes, but you're a firebender too. You're double fire. You're just a fiery girl. Rachel, you are an air sign. Amari. I think
She about to
Amari's
insult
water
me?
for sure.
I think Amari's water, but Amari definitely has some fire sign tendencies. But I will say,
Yeah, because she's an Aries.
Yeah, I'm an Aries.
I'm not talking about
It
zodiac
does
signs,
relate to the
guys.
sign. Yes, but it does relate because I already knew like Amari would be water, and Rachel will probably be water. Or earth.
No, Rachel's
Is it 'cause
an air
is it
sign.
'cause I'm
Why'd you
gentle?
say-
Like,
What?
I
Water and Avatar are like they're gentle but fierce at the same time.
I feel like
They're
Wait,
nurturing.
I feel like the fire part would come out in the water and I'd just be some evil person and I'll just like spin that shit around you until you drown. Like, is that what they do in Airbender?
well, no, the fire only uses theirs for like
got
the wrong. You just like mix every element together.
Amari's the Avatar. Figured it out.
You're the last airbender. Wait, why did you say I was fire? Because no one ever
I
says
think you're
that.
mad fiery, Kia.
What would you be, Kia? What do you think? Oh, you think you Earth?
No, it's funny because I always say I'm fire, and then all my close friends are like, Kia, you're not as like tough guarded as like you think you are, and I'm like, okay, but also in my chart, it's only Earth and water and like 2 placements of Sagittarius, which is the only fire sign. So I have no air and like no fire, so I mostly attract like air and fire signs. But I'm not as fiery as like the typical like fire sign.
I see.
You
Will
just
you
went
give me
into
fire
some deep
vibes?
astrological stuff.
Yeah.
I got a little lost.
Sorry. I don't even know that much. It's literally because my best friend / roommate knows all this, and she knows like everything about astrology. It's actually insane. So I only know that because of her.
It's okay.
Sorry guys to get into the zodiac.
I got
thing.
into astrology once because of a boy, but then we stopped talking, and then I was like, I don't care about this shit anymore.
Damn.
The astrology has been right too, though, because I always attract fire and air signs when it comes to dating as well.
Well, back to nostalgia. I have a cool list of things that the OO kids will remember. Like if you were growing up in the early 2000s, I'm calling the OO kids.
Are we considered OO kids or 90 kids? Because
Do you remember the 90s?
Here's the way I think about it.
No, but I hate when people like say that because I'm like, bitch, we were 3 in the 90s.
But here's the way I think about it. I was born in 94, right? I hardly remember anything in the 90s. So I just say I remember things in the OOs.
Yeah, me too.
Same.
But does it count if like, okay, so I don't remember anything from like the 90s, but I still like growing up in the OOs, I still paid attention to things that happened in the 90s, if that makes sense. Like a lot of the shows like had started in the 90s and I was still watching those shows.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a thing? Like,
that makes sense.
We came into ourselves in the 2000s.
Yeah, we're still 90s.
Right.
We're still 90s babies, but we don't remember shit from the 90s because of when we were born in the 90s. But we're still 90s babies, even if you were born in 98.
Can you imagine being a 2020 baby?
That's so weird. 2020 babies are
Godspeed to them. Godspeed.
I grew up in the 2020s. It's like, oh fuck. Sorry. Disregard. What were you gonna say?
Janae has a list. Janae has a list of things from the double O's.
The OOs. But the OO babies will remember.
Yes.
So Limited 2. I wanted Limited 2 clothes so badly.
Oh my god, me too. My mom was like, no, they're too expensive.
My parents were like, nope, too expensive. Too expensive.
I was too big for some of that shit too, but I was still trying to squeeze into it.
I don't think I got anything from there. We literally just looked around and I had the magazine too. And my mom was like, nope, it's too expensive.
You can smell it.
Oh, you can smell it?
Do you ever like with your memories, like they have specific smells? Like I just remember that store in Carousel Mall had a specific smell. And now I'm thinking about it.
Guys, remember malls?
Yeah, that's a place of nostalgia though. Malls are like dead.
Nostalgic.
That's nostalgic as hell.
School, go straight to the mall.
Yeah.
Just hanging out at the food court.
The food court, or where you would make a big show of going to the movies at the mall with your friends, and your parents would drop you off, and you just be there.
Being annoying as hell now that I look back on it. Yes. Like I see those kids now, and I'm like, oh God, get me away from them.
Where are your parents?
Yeah. Next on the list is Heelys. I always thought Heelys were dumb, honestly. Does everyone know what Heelys are? I didn't have them. But I always knew kids who did. Hotmail.
I don't have that. I think that's a little...
I still have to check sometimes my Hotmail.
Oh, wow. Okay,
I was doing Hotmail like college. Like those were all my applications were connected to my Hotmail.
Wow.
My mom still has Hotmail to this day. So Hotmail, got milk ads. Mm-hmm. You don't remember those? Oh, you do?
No, I do.
Ruben Studdard and Clay Aiken.
Yo.
Yes, American Idol. That was my...
Do you guys remember from Justin to Kelly?
Oh my God.
I love American Idol.
Yeah. I love American Idol too.
That movie introduced me to Aniki Noni Rose, and always been obsessed. That shit was so good.
It's like that was my show. Like I would stay up till 12 a.m. voting. Like in school, I was known as like the American Idol person. I would make buttons of the people I liked for American Idol. I would go ham.
Wow,
That was my
okay.
ish. Yeah, I was about that life, man. I would like cry when my favorite went off. Like I'd be like sobbing on the bus to school. It was bad.
Gia. Next are the My Scene dolls. I was wondering if that was
What's
just
that?
a me thing.
I'm trying to remember.
You like the
what
My
do they
Scene
look
dolls?
My
like?
favorite doll.
I have to look them up.
Madison, and I also play the video game online.
Mm-hmm. And they had like this theme song. It's my scene.
My scene, my scene.
You know what I mean? It's my scene.
Oh, the game online. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
My
You dress them up.
Yes.
Yep.
I remember the Bratz
Yes,
dolls.
Bratz
Love
dolls.
Bratz
That was
dolls.
my
I only
thing.
liked them because they had big lips. And I was like, finally.
Representation.
Representation. Except when the white girl had oddly big lips, I was like, that don't make no sense.
The Bratz dolls were lip
Like
injections.
Fashion Nova models.
Yeah, they look like Fashion Nova models now.
Oh, I said that on one of our lives that the
Okay.
Bratz dolls walked so Fashion Nova models could run.
Next is the iPod Nano. I had a few iPod Nanos.
I had the iPod video, and that shit was big.
What does that even look like?
I don't even remember that one.
It's imagine like this being bigger, and then having like a big screen where you could like watch movies.
I'm looking this up. iPod video.
And it was
Oh yeah, I remember this one.
hefty.
It's still going for $190 on
Why?
eBay. That's crazy. I don't know. I guess
I
it's
can give someone mine.
Next are velour tracksuits, and I put Juicy Couture in with velour tracksuits, and
Still got a couple in my closet at my parents'.
damn.
I would scour. Again, I was just a very brand obsessed child, and I would scour TJ Maxx for discounted Juicy jackets, and I couldn't find them at the same time, so I'd get like a $40 hoodie, and then scour for like the pants on another trip. The desperation.
Razor scooters. You guys, I had one too. It had orange wheels on it. Love that thing. And to end the list, I put Chad Michael Murray.
Chad.
What else was he in besides the Cinderella story?
He was
The
in
OC.
One Tree Hill.
Oh, that's it.
Oh, I didn't see any
Gilmore
of those,
Girls?
Sorry.
Freaky Friday.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, Freaky Friday.
Oh, okay, I
With the
remember
long
Friday.
hair.
Yeah. He was just like the it guy of like 2002 or something. I don't even know. Maybe 2004. I don't know. But he was like the guy.
I was so jealous of Hilary Duff in A Cinderella Story.
Such a good movie. I really want to watch it now.
I'm right. I waited for the rain.
It's so
So
cheesy.
I wanted her blue flip phone.
What? That's what you wanted out of that movie?
Really?
Not Chad.
Not the boy.
I was like, oh my god.
Not the white boy.
Yeah, no, not the white boy.
Oh, speaking of nostalgia, the amount of white boys I was obsessed with growing up, Chad Michael Murray being one of them.
I'm shocked.
What?
I can't believe this is. I can't imagine Amari being obsessed with a white boy.
Honestly,
I actually was too.
yeah.
I had
That's all we had.
It's literally all we had
Yeah.
on TV.
Well, we
Yeah,
had Bow
that's
Wow.
literally- I can't even think of.
Oh, I was obsessed with him too.
Oh, girl.
I became obsessed with Bow Wow when he reached Sierra. Around that
Yeah,
stage.
that's when you're like, okay.
Oh, Little Romeo was my
You have
thing
to-
too.
I never liked them. I never liked Bow Wow, Little Romeo. They were like,
Yeah, I didn't either.
I've told this story before, I feel like, but like my sister was in love with them, and I was like, but Trunks from Dragon Ball Z though, and Rurouni Kenshin from Kenshin though.
Okay.
I was like obsessed with anime boys. So.
Wait, I'm sorry. I also was obsessed with Danny
Oh,
Phantom.
Danny Phantom was good looking.
Oh,
Danny Phantom was
Yeah.
good looking.
Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Now I'm trying to think of all these other anime boys I used to like.
I thought Yu-Gi-Oh was cute.
You thought Yu-Gi-Oh was cute?
I thought Yu-Gi-Oh was cute.
Yes, Rachel.
He was cute.
All the Disney princes like Hercules, I used to love.
Aladdin was fine.
Aladdin was good looking.
What was the name of the Disney prince in Little Mermaid? I thought he was the finest.
Eric.
Eric
was. Mm-hmm.
Eric was fine.
Do you all feel like this is a delusion though? Because why would they do that to us?
You know,
I mean, Eric was shitty though. Like he's not actually
why would they make these boys fine? Because like
they want you to feel perverted.
No, but I mean, like the real ones aren't like that. But also, like with High School Musical, like all these people are 30 playing like 15-year-olds.
No,
and so you're
they were 17 playing 15-year-olds. The only 30-year-old.
No, the black girl was 30.
Well, yeah, Monique,
give a black girl
30.
a job. She looked like she was like 15. She looked really young.
No, I was talking about. I'm talking about the boys because like they're casted in these movies, and you're going to high school thinking you're going to find a nice white boy.
That was all those
and they
Disney
look like
movies.
they're on meth at 13.
Yeah,
and you're just like, I'm confused.
I mean, I had a couple of good-looking white boys in high school. Once we got to high school, they picked it up, but they clearly did not look like Chad and Michael Murray.
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
that wasn't.
Or they dated white girls, so.
Well, they were all white, so they were not looking over here.
Well, the black ones dated white girls too.
That too. Yeah.
They all dated white girls. That was the issue. They
no one was checking
dated white
for
girls,
us.
and that was it. No one was checking for us.
And they would tell you to their face.
School, they would tell you literally to your face. I'll never forget this. Me and a group of black girls were just sitting at the lunch table, and some black boys were just loudly. One of the black girls like threw a pencil at one of the other black boys that lived like down the street from her. And then he decided to use that opportunity to talk about how black girls are ugly and how he would never date a black girl. And this entire group of black girls just sitting there like, and then
it was a joke, my guy.
It was a joke, but it was not a joke. And then all the other black boys started chipping in about how black girls are just ugly.
Yeah.
And
oh my God. How old were you?
Like 15, 16.
Yeah, it's definitely ingrained in them because I remember being in high school and we were like, why don't you we were talking to one of the black boys and we're like, why don't you go to prom with like one of our black friends? There was only 5 of us. And he was like, I don't date black girls. And mind you, like this girl was stunning. This guy looked like a bum. And to this day, all the guys, at least from my school, are bums. And all the girls like graduated from like Ivy Leagues and work in tech and stuff like that. And I'm just like, oh, have the tables have turned.
Yeah, looking back now, those guys were totally not worth it. Like, they all probably have baby mamas. But
yeah,
if I was Janae now, I would just be like, but your mama.
But it's crazy. But well, at least in my school, there wasn't a lot of black people, but there's a decent amount of mixed boys, and their moms were all white, so they didn't care when they were dissing black women.
Of course they didn't.
And I'd be like, but your mom's black. And be like, no, she's white. And I'm like, well.
Just like my girlfriend, bitch. Oh boy, we definitely got to interview some mixed people on the show too. But also how the dynamic is different when the mom
is black.
It's very different.
It's very different. Well,
it seems
most of the time
way.
It's very different, but sometimes it hurts when it's not different. Like when the mom is black and they're still like exhibiting very like anti-black sentiment, and I'm like, how?
Yeah,
I'm not black. I'm mixed. Sorry, that was rude. But someone did say that on MTV, and everyone just like side-eyed him because he is a black baby mama too. And I think I sent you guys this clip. He's like clearly mixed, and he's like, I don't know what it's like to be black in America. And his black baby mama like went off because like they have a black kid.
Again, like Kia's advice to people: don't procreate.
Do not do it.
But people like,
don't do it.
Honestly, I don't understand. If I wasn't, I would want to be black if I wasn't black.
I too would want to be black.
Like,
that's why Kylie Jenner is out here trying to copy everything that Rihanna does.
So black people who don't want to claim their blackness really do confuse me. Because I'm like,
I think because they want the privilege side. All privilege, no oppression.
So yeah, we could go on and on about nostalgia because, as we know, it's like one of the greatest things in the world. But we'll stop this conversation for now. We can continue it on social media, guys, if you want to, though. Just hit us up. But let's go into Rachel's segment this week.
So, a few days ago, I was on social media. I follow a few accounts that talk about mental health and self-care. And I saw a post about derealization disorder. And I wanted to do more research about it. And I thought like this would be a great topic to talk about on the podcast. So according to the Mayo Clinic, depersonalization, derealization disorder occurs when you persistently or repeatedly have the feeling that you're observing yourself from outside your body, or you have a sense that things around you aren't real, or both. Feelings of depersonalization and derealization can be very disturbing and may feel like you're living in a dream. So here are a few symptoms. Feeling that you're an outside observer of your thoughts, feelings, your body, or parts of your body, for example, as if you were floating in air above yourself. Feeling like a robot, or that you're not in control of your speech or movements, or the sense that your body, legs, or arms appear distorted, enlarged, or shrunken, or that your head is wrapped in cotton. There are a couple of treatments that you can get if you have this disorder. One is psychotherapy, also called counseling or talk therapy, is the main treatment. The goal is to gain control over the symptoms so that they lessen or go away. And the second treatment is medication. There are no medications specifically approved to treat depersonalization, derealization disorder. However, medications may be used to treat specific symptoms or to treat depression and anxiety that are often associated with the disorder. It is important that we learn about mental health illnesses and not self-diagnose. I am not a mental health counselor, but I am an advocate for mental health awareness. There are things that happen to our body or the way we feel that we don't understand. And that is why it's very important to talk to someone about what you're going through, or at least write about it, to realize that, something is happening and something is going on with you, and don't push it aside because you don't know. I say this all the time. You just don't know how or when it's going to come up. So it's very important that we take care of our mental health the same way we take care of our bodies.
Okay, on this edition of The Shits, our friend, I want to say your name correctly. I hope I do. Marcody wrote in, and he said, I love y'all's podcast and dynamic. It's a nice break from my usual algorithm, which is pretty rowdy. My question: during the COVID crisis, creatives have been challenged to find new ways to produce content and maintain an audience. I myself am an amateur podcaster / producer. How have y'all, Southern, LOL, because it said y'all, found ways to maintain and cultivate any audience despite the quarantine setbacks? Again, love the show. Hope to hear a response. So I thought that this question was really, really interesting, because it is true that so many people are struggling, like really, really struggling to do new things. I mean, even with us just gathering to record the podcast, we take 30 minutes to actually start before like our time, because there's always some type of technical difficulty. But that aside, I feel like honestly with quarantine, we've had more luck growing our podcast simply because we've all had more time to be more creative. What do you ladies think?
That's interesting, because I don't know if this is just me being like too hard on myself or have unrealistic expectations, but I thought it would grow more. especially when white people are like, we want to support you more. Um, so maybe I'm just being biased because I do have to realize that it's like, everyone's path is different. And so I know, like, especially during quarantine, we've really thought about marketing the podcast differently on socials and like our marketing strategy. And now I'm looking to TikTok and ways that I could take like Amari's brainstorming from Instagram and how I can put that on TikTok for us. And because that seems to be like a platform that's growing larger, and we're looking into our YouTube and stuff like that. It's definitely been harder. I don't know if that's, and I know a lot of people will come up to me and be like, oh, I haven't listened to the podcast in a while because I don't commute or something like that. So yeah, it's been a little, for me, I feel like wishy-washy about it because I don't know if my expectations are unrealistic. But I just want the best for the podcast, and I want really high things for the podcast. I'll say that.
Yeah, I think so. Like, we've had growth during quarantine, but I think it's been like a slow burn. But I think our whole growth for the podcast has always been like a slow burn, but the audience we have is a really dedicated audience. But I think it's like twofold for me. So personally, I think quarantine has helped me really lean into the podcast more, and I feel like I'm more active. Like, even in our social chats, I feel like I'm bugging everyone each day for something, and I felt more inspired during this time. But it has been interesting in comparing other people's kind of like side hustles and seeing how they've been able to grow just by starting at the beginning of quarantine to where they are now. I do think overall, I think like you have to give yourself some grace because I think people's level of interest will kind of fluctuate just based off of quarantine. I think in the beginning, everyone was like, oh, like we're going to do X, Y, and Z. So I think there's more like activity and excitement around it. And I don't think everyone's just like tired and like Kia said, it's not as exciting to go, like, I'm going to go listen to the podcast in my shower for 5 minutes versus like I'm listening to a podcast for an hour on a commute. Yeah, sorry if that's not like as helpful as like how you can grow.
I mean, when I think about how maybe not necessarily how our numbers have skyrocketed, but when I think of ways that we've kind of changed and grown, we've started using video elements more often. And honestly, that's something that I feel pretty happy to do now because I don't have a job. And that's something that I can just quickly go and do. I feel like we've been able to focus more on socials, like Amari said, and just pump out more content there and focus on getting lists of advertisers and focus more on nailing down stuff like that and things that will help us grow. So although maybe our numbers haven't skyrocketed, I think personally for our question, I think don't necessarily focus on the numbers, but focus on something that you feel like could give your podcast longevity. So if that means engaging more with video, doing more, if that means getting a TikTok because the youth are on TikTok, maybe put your energy and effort into things that may have longevity instead of just looking at the numbers.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to think about it because like at least during this time, I think our content has become more airtight than ever before, and I think it looks very professional. And also, like, I don't want to disregard the I think the activity we've seen on social media too, whether on Twitter, being retweeted by Matthew Cherry of Hair Love.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
Right. It's not so like we've gotten recognition and I think our content is there. I think the audience numbers will grow and come, but like you said, Janae, I think now is the time to kind of like hone in on your one thing. Like for Janae, this time has been I think of Janae as like our TV host, like our TV host personality. And that's why we lean into her for Instagram because that's like, I think that's Janae's like, I think that's just like one thing we've been able to like do during this time is more so find our niches, like our areas and kind of like hone in on that. So maybe that's just what quarantine is about for creatives, just kind of like finding that one area that you think needs improvement and then just like dedicating the time to that. I don't know.
I think also it's like I'm pretty confident in our content. Like, is our podcast 100% like perfect? No, but I think a lot of people resonate with it, and that's like the thing that keeps it going because, I mean, since day one we've been pretty at least I've been pretty adamant on like, the small details of like, is our audio good? Like, how can we improve our video? How can we improve like these things? And like you said, like honing in what really makes you like good. I feel like for me, I always wanted to be like kind of in front of the camera, but now I'm kind of like, oh, I only want to use the in front camera experience to kind of like be more of a pro in like the back end. So like for me, it's more about like building something where I can like later on like build my own company, or like now I'm realizing like, oh, maybe I'm not so much like as a use maybe on like the talent development side, but maybe like I said before, we like went back on this break, like helping Black creators like lift up their playing field on these tech platforms, or like being a project manager of like, hey, like Amari's good on Instagram, like collaborating with her, how can I take this from like Instagram to Twitter to TikTok, or delegating like that type of thing. So it's definitely been like an interesting like internal growth. I think I'm just like very bad with like patience still, where I'm just like, I want the podcast to be number one. I think it has the potential to be number one, and being like, okay, Kia, you need to build in on that social to bring people to the content, because I have very strong faith in our content. It's just the small details where I'm like, okay, we need to just bring people in, and I would be really happy when we see that.
And I think one thing you guys forgot to mention that I feel like has been working, that Kia has been help promote, is reaching out to other podcasts and doing like promotion swaps, and also being on their podcast as well to get like audiences or listeners from their audiences, and vice versa. So I think that has been helping as well.
Right. Like that's true. Kia's really pushed for like the more like collaborative spirit, I think, during this time. And I think also that's good because like I think a lot of people now too, as Black creatives, are kind of like reaching out into the ether and like pulling each other in. So that's been good. And like just to build off of what Kia said just about like patience and longevity, is that not from the podcast side, but just like from like my own personal like writing side, I've found success with projects that like I haven't touched in like 8 years. So I think people, like, if you believe in something enough, I think you can stick with it. And I always think of just like authors who will talk about the fact that they like wrote a book 10 years ago and they tried to like push it out to agents and stuff and never got a bite, and they've been sitting on this project for 10 years and then they finally got it published. So I think if you stick with something and believe in it hard enough and stick with it long enough, you will eventually see that success. So that's what I'm holding on to.
I need to remember that, because I've struggled so much with patience. Like I feel like that's the number one thing where it's grown. I've gotten significantly better in the last 3 years, but it's still something I really struggle with. And I think especially with this pandemic, I'm just like, wow, it would be nice, like for all four of us, like if we could really lean on the podcast, to kind of like not relying on these external things where like we have to apply to jobs or like these other stuff. But I'm just like, damn, it would be so nice if we could just like really invest in like our space, and that space can like provide us with what we want as well.
Yeah.
But this was very therapeutic. Thanks, guys, because I've been feeling down like all week, and I'm also trying to be a little more vulnerable because I'm also not a strong suit. But this has been very helpful.
Yeah, the weeks have been weird, haven't they?
Yeah, it's been It's been a weird time. I'm hoping like I'll feel better in like the next week or so. But like I can feel like the depression pocket, and I'm like, go away.
Yeah, and I think you just have to like Rachel said earlier, kind of like give yourself that space to feel those feelings and like recognize that like it's okay and it's normal, and like shit's freaking hard. This is a pandemic. No one like taught us in school how to deal with freaking pandemic. Like this was not a part of the future planning. So I think I think you just have to give yourself like a break.
Okay. Sorry, I've been like so pessimistic this entire episode. I'm so sorry.
I think I'm just so taken. I don't know what to say because I'm so used to wearing that hat, and here I am trying to console Kia.
Amari's like, that's usually me.
Did that answer your question, sir?
I know.
He's probably listening to this like,
yeah. Did I make him cry?
Maybe that wasn't the right question. No, but it was actually a really great question, and we really appreciated you responding. That made our day. But yes, thank you guys for joining us this So-Called Oreos episode. Make sure to follow us on make sure to stream us on all streaming platforms, and follow us on all the socials. So Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We we're not on TikTok yet. We on TikTok?
No, not yet.
We'll get there. Yeah, and make sure to leave reviews. We love hearing from you guys. And if you have time, please take our listener survey. It's been up for a bit. And we just want to be able to cater our episodes and our social media and everything to you guys. So thanks for listening again. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.